to kind of just do some updates on the bus and what I have going on. I've been framing in behind the counters in the kitchen recently, and I said that I was going to bolt the wood in, but I forgot there was a very important part before I did that, and that seems to happen. I don't know if it's just with or with schoolies. Schoolies might notice that you think you have a job to do, and then you notice there's a bunch of steps in between before you're able to do that job. Um, Also, I just haven't done these in a while, so I forgot that since we have this right here. I didn't take out any of my old insulation, by the way. Some people that do schoolies, and a lot of people, they take all these out. I think they're called rivets, I'm not even sure. And they take all the insulation, and there's wiring and all kinds of stuff in there. I'm just putting insulation. That's the foam insulation, and there's also thicker, I think 1.5 inch insulation back there. So this is really my last piece, except for in the very back of the bus. It's the table saw, and you make one cut here and one cut here, and then you can make cuts in between and rock it back and forth. That will remove what's in between without having to cut that whole piece out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But again, I just measured with a pin where it went. It's a little higher. At the bottom, it wasn't going on one of these, and I had to cut more off. But it's pretty simple to do. I don't want to do any cutting really on TV. And also, I'm not an expert. I am an amateur. So some of these things I do, people might say, I have a way better way to do that. And if you do, please let me know. I'm always open to new ideas or more efficient ways. So I brought my Q-tips out here. I'm going to be putting those on. And hopefully getting those on today. Sometimes when I procrastinate on something, I don't want to do it, and I just find a million other things to do besides that. So no one's on just yet, which is kind of good for me, because once people get on, then I want to jump right off. I get nervous and I start not knowing what to say. I don't know why that is. So thank you for watching. Now someone's watching now that I said that. The attitude of gratitude. I am thankful for every single viewer and anyone that spends time listening to my rambles. So I was just talking about the bus and how I forgot that I had to cut the notches out at the bottom of the 2x3s. I was calling them 2x4s the other day as well. That was another thing. So flip it around. Those are the notches. I got those all cut out, I believe 2 days ago. So I've been kind of taking my time with it. I gotta do my measuring and bolt them in and hopefully get that all framed in within the next couple days. I haven't started working on any of the insulation for the windows, but anyhow, I'm always in the mornings is my time to like to listen to music, and I'm always talking in my head to myself about different things or talking to God. So I just wanted to reach out and talk to you guys and just let you know everybody's on my heart. I know that the world is going through some rapid changes, and God is with crazy thing. Even if we think that we're not with God, God is with us, because God created us. We never separated from God. That was an illusion. So we're all part of God, and that's really exciting to me, because I just feel like people that are even rebelling against God will be reunited with God at the end. So Don't put too much thought into the fear that might be being put out there by the multitude right now. It's all part of the show. So, I did a borax treatment on my hair and my head's been itching. And also, yeah, I'm just like, I need to wash it. I have honey in my hair too. So, all these natural treatments do a body good. It feels good being out in the bus though. I like being out here way more than being in my apartment. I hope to be out here full time soon. I need to get water set up still. I don't know how to do water. If any viewers know how to do plumbing, please message me or comment and let me know the ins and outs. I go to the library and they do have books on it. I'm just kind of overwhelmed with some of those main things until I conquer them, I guess. The water, I have a water pump. I need to get a water storage container. And I need to get electricity set up. I was talking to someone that was driving me home from an appointment the other day, and they were talking about solar. Santan solar. A lot of people I've noticed that travel use Santan solar. And I went down there before. They had really good deals. The guy said for brand new, for $100, he could get 350. I don't know if it's watt or amps. It's kind of like a foreign language to me still. I don't know. All the stuff about solar, so I want to learn that and also have a generator. I have big hopes for this bus. I feel like God put this bus in my life and it's kind of God's project. So when I build in it, I pray and I feel like Jesus was a carpenter, but how the story goes. But I'm learning slowly but surely how to do things, and some things I'm doing my own way. As I said, you might see how I do it and be like, oh heck, I'm going to do it the complete opposite of how she's doing it. And I'm definitely not giving advice, but I will say like what I figured out, because doing a bus can be overwhelming. That's one thing I was going to say. People can get overwhelmed and when there's a lot of different projects going on. So one thing that I like to do is just try to focus on one project and get that knocked out and then move on to the next thing. And even though you might have other things you're working on in the sidelines, yeah, things come together much quicker if you can stay focused. And it's hard for me to stay focused when people are watching. I don't know why, because it's my stage fright I'm trying to get over. So I can think of plenty of things to say until I get in front of the camera, and then I can't say anything. I did an interview for a casino a couple years ago, and I totally bombed the interview because two guys were on there, and I couldn't think, I couldn't talk, I didn't know how to communicate, and it was scary. So I'm trying to get over that, being able to talk in front of two or more people. When two or more are gathered in my name, when two people believe in God, and manifesting happens very rapidly. I've been involved and been blessed enough to know some people that believe that same way. And when you're around them, things manifest very quickly, and it's awesome. You can experience miracles. I experienced a lot of miracles. I'm very thankful for that, for people walking with me on my walk of faith, and me being able to experience so many things. So I thank you for all that have joined me on my journey thus far, and I look forward to meeting people on my journey. We haven't made it back out to Skoolie. We were out at Skoolie Palooza. I was out there for 7 days with my son. We set up, and he had his lemonade stand, I had my crafts, and we were giving out souvenirs. And the very last day when I was packing up, an altercation happened between the animals. Another animal had come into our area, and my dog was going into heat, and the dogs got together, not in a good way. And we had a spill, and I lost my phone. So I have been wanting to go out there, and it's been in my heart to go out there. My dear friend Ashley that passed away, I never got to go to her memorial, and I set up a little thing out there, a memorial for her, with her name, and I want to go back out there and put these these roses that I've been making out of um, I don't know. But anyhow, and I have some rocks and some seashells from me and my friend's travels that I want to add to her thing and kind of do a memorial for her and say how important she is to me. And I'll say to right now that I think that Ashley is a beautiful soul. She's a child of God. She loved Jesus. She loved her children. She loved her family. She loved her brothers. Um, and I love her. She's awesome. I miss her. And grieving is hard. Lost a lot of important people lately. So I hope to get to go do that soon and kind of have something out there in her honor, since she never got to go to Skoolie. I know she would have loved it. She would have thought it was rad. I think she was out there with us this time. There was a lot of cool stuff going on out there. Even though there were a couple things at Skoolie that were challenging, there were a lot of beautiful souls out there and a lot of people that came out and just were awesome. One guy came out as I was doing my booth and he made me a piece of toast with jelly on it. And he was so rad. He was parked over in my old camping spot where I was making Ashley's thing, so I kept going over there and putting rocks on it and stuff. And yeah, he was cool. At the end, he thanked me for my presence being there, and I never even knew the guy's name. I was kind of just in my own world with my kid and my dogs and everything going on when you're camping. It can be a lot, especially car camping. Trying to cook, my stove blew up, so got rid of that. Lightened my load quite a bit out there. It was really fun meeting people, and I appreciated the experience, even though I lost the camera with all the memories and everything. I got to go to different camps. I went to the Pirates Cove and I saw what that was about and the fire, and they had different, corn dogs and different things for cheap, and that was cool. And they had some type of pole set up, and I didn't stay long. I just kind of checked out each thing. They had fire dancing. And then I went, where else did I go? I saw a really rad band. I recorded 2 9-minute videos that I was trying to Bluetooth over to my other phone. And hopefully I find this phone or somebody turns in my phone. If anybody was out at Skoolie, out in Ehrenberg, and they found a phone, it's a Samsung, and it has a code on it, and it's locked. I had very many precious videos in there. So, but yeah, so anyhow, I saw a really rad band and they were playing outside, and I just kind of invited myself and sat down and took these videos and watched them. It was so good for my soul just to be out, to be single, and to be just like on my own out there checking out this band. And this chick came up with a violin. She was badass, and her name is Autumn. You guys should check her out, Autumn Anderson. She's a really rad violinist. I was like, whoa, I wanted to be hooting and hollering the whole time, but I didn't want to interrupt. So I got to see that. And then I went over and they were having like this drum circle. The Rainbow family had a couple different buses set up, and they had drum circles on certain nights where they were holding a dinner. And it was really rad. I had never been to anything that was rainbow, but it was just so nice that the lady made us all dinner, and she had a vegan option, which doesn't happen often. So I was really happy. I got some vegan burritos made, hot burritos, and they had cheeseburgers, and she had the fixings for the vegan stuff. And she said, I love you guys. And they had a hand wash center, and they had 2 different fires. One was like this huge fire thing that everyone was drumming around. And then there was another fire that just like a few of us were gathered around. And I just went and sat and ate my meal over there. And they were very welcoming, very kind. I enjoyed the music. And then I left. I ate and ran. So I appreciated the meal so much. God bless you guys for making that meal out of the kindness of your hearts and everybody's donation and help to to like keep those guys going. Like that's amazing that they can feed that many people. Like they had trays of food just like feeding all these people. It's just like the most beautiful thing to experience. And that's what Skoolie is about, is everybody coming together as a community and loving each other. And everybody offers a different piece and offers something else. Some people serve pancakes all day. Some people serve hot dogs all day. Other people have, there was a front porch coffee set up where people are gathered out there having coffee and socializing. And it's a whole community, and it's beautiful. And these people brought a trampoline out and set it up next to our place, and the kids were out there and they were having a blast. My son got to be part of it, and he's made so many memories. The last 3 schoolies that we've went to, each time my son has met families that are in our hearts forever, and just the experiences are just so awesome. Seeing the kids climb out of their buses, out of the windows with tails on, and they're just wild children and being wild and free, and it's freaking awesome. And they're like jumping down on the things, and they had some really cool stuff out there. They had a setup for the kids to be playing on with nets and ladders and different things, and it was like a jungle gym. So I liked that. And then, yeah, I walked around and met up with a buddy that I saw that was like painting on somebody's bus. He did this whole solar thing. So that was Talon? Yeah. I always want to say Falcon because I try to associate people's names with stuff, so I forgot. But yeah, he did a rad paint job, and that was on my videos too. So I can only say from what my memory is, what happened, until I have those to show. But sometimes it's better just to experience it. One thing that was really cool is I was asking people as they walked by if they wanted to have something to take with them as a souvenir. And as one girl had chosen something and was walking off, everybody was howling because whenever the sun goes down out there, everybody starts to howl, and it's rad. It's being out there with all these lone wolves together. It's a whole wolf pack. It's freaking rad. So I got up on my chair and started howling, and that was like one of my favorite parts. Yeah, and people were laughing, and it was fun, and more people started howling. So I loved that part of it. I did. I had a lot of great experiences every time I went. The only thing I wished that people would keep their dogs more controlled. I had one guy that had his dog off leash, and I had asked him to take his dog away from the area, and he was just very nonchalant and was like, my dog has a mind of his own, and he wasn't controlling his dog at all. And anyhow, he did end up leaving, but just the energy there, I could tell, there's a spiritual warfare going on in the world. I mean, let's admit it. All this stuff that they're saying is coming from the dark is coming to light. But the fact is, the dark is the illusion. The dark was even created by the creator. That's the funny part, is like when people think they can separate and be with the dark, it's like the dark is what? It's going to come to light, and all the bad stuff, you still can be with God even in the end. Even if you've done terrible things, you anytime can say, God, I love you, and I want to be with you, and God loves you still. God loves to hear from you. God's waiting to hear from you. And God likes to talk to us as well if we're willing to listen, and if we give the space and the time, and we're allowed to quiet our minds enough. I think that's, sorry for the rattling, that's the big part about being present. I'm going to this group thing, it's Hun Copy, and a big thing there is being present. In the moment, she talked to us about really focusing on doing that, because it's easy to be in the past, and I can sit all day long and think about the past, what I should have done right, what I could have done right. it's good to think about and to evaluate, but not to get lost in it. Same about the future. Of course, you want to think about what you want for your future, but you don't want to have anxiety thinking about the future. So, one thing I learned is boxed breathing and controlled breathing. I don't know if anyone knows about that, but what I found is boxed breathing is like if you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you release it for 4 seconds. So, that's the boxed breathing. So, it's even amounts, and it would be so 4 seconds in, holding for 4 seconds, and 4 seconds out. And then the other one, the controlled breathing, is breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 7 seconds, and letting out for 8 seconds, which reminds me of smoking or holding to hit a pot in. But so I'm going to do one right now. Okay. And I've learned that if you have anxiety or different things that might have your mind racing too fast, that if you can stop and just breathe in and do some of those controlled breathing exercises, that breath work is the most important work that may seem so simple, but is one of the most complicated things, you know, and the most important things. It's like people don't breathe in all the way and fill up their belly with the air, and they breathe shallow, and then it affects everything, you know. So getting fresh air is important too, instead of being inside the AC circulated air, breathing our own, what, carbon monoxide, is that what it is? It's not good for us. So I learned some things at Skoolie by going around and meeting some other crafters out there. That was pretty cool. There were some different uh, crocheters out there, and they do mushrooms, but they were different. I learned how to do the mushrooms about 10 years ago from Danny. Thank you, Danny. That was really cool to learn, and I've loved those mushrooms. Everyone loves those mushrooms. Out at Skoolie, all the kids wanted the red and the white ones. And so I just enjoyed seeing people have those and to see the different styles. One lady made more triangular tops, and the strings came out on the sides. So that's going to be something fun to try. Another lady, she made F-bombs, and so I tried my first one the other day. I was very sloppy with the lettering. I don't know how to read patterns. I only know how to do a single stitch, and I've read a children's book that taught me some of the other stitches, but I don't have them memorized, and they're really hard for my hand to do, so they're not easy to do, and I don't recognize them. I don't know why it's like a foreign language to me. I've been saying I'm going to go to the library and go pick these ladies' brains and say, like, teach me how to, you know, how do I do a double or a treble or whatever they're called? And how do I read this? Because otherwise I'm just creating by sight. You know, I guess there's musicians like that they don't know how to read music, but they can create by sound. So that's how it is with me. I can see something, I can try to mock it with the shapes and everything, but I don't really know how to read the pattern, and I would be a lot better if I did. So that's a goal of mine. I'm going to put that out there. Sometimes my goals take years. I procrastinate and I self-sabotage. I'll be honest about that. Anything that might be great in my life, I'll ruin that. And then if I'm supposed to do something, I'll wait and I'll procrastinate and do it at the last minute, or I'll mess it up so that I can't do it. I don't know why. It's hard for me to allow good into my life. So, someone in my life once told me that making your weakness your strength, you know, is a pretty powerful move. So, communication has been my weakness. I'm trying to make it my strength. That's why I'm trying to overcome my stage fright trying to do this channel, trying to encourage my son to do his own channel, but he has a set way on how he wants to do a channel. He wants to do a gaming channel, and he wants a certain way. He wants to have a mask, have a reveal, and all these type of things. So we're not there yet, but we're doing our channel, and yeah, I love God, and I feel like God has me on a mission. I feel like the world is getting ready to divide in a way that, they have this whole agenda, one world order, and, I've heard, who knows what to believe, what you hear on the internet, but if you do watch what they're doing, they're not trying to set us free. And I am not going to take a digital ID. I'm not going to take a mark of the beast. I'm not going to be in that system. I'm not going to be in a concentration camp. So I might be out in the woods or in the bus somewhere. I don't know. If all communication goes down. I've seen all these things like, I don't know. In Iran, it looks horrible. I'm horrified for people. I'm horrified for Americans, but they just blatantly just put it and displayed to all of us, which they do for their cultish things, Our religion, and we don't have to hide. We don't have to have a secret thing to talk about God, because it is no secret. God is light and love, and it's the truth. All that other deception and lies and ugliness, they have to go sneak and hide and do that. And then they try to admit it in our thing, and they play all these games. But it's really silly, because God wins in the end. And just don't get distracted is my advice to everybody. My unasked for advice, which I'm good at giving. It's like, hey, God wins, God loves us, and the rest is just, it's a shit show. Don't even look that way. Try to save the ones that you can, if you can. Remind people. I have people in my life that don't believe in God and have their own. I had a guy come up to my booth, and I had a prayer thing. It said prayer requests, and he was like, I said, "Do you want a prayer request?" He said, "I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist." So my wife was a Christian, and I don't believe in God. So that's how that goes, And he started ranting about a lot of things in the Bible and things that I used to, be like this and this, oh, what about this? What about this? And I just told him I felt like we all came from the same creator. And that was my belief. And he started going off about some political things. And he thought he was going to get a rise out of me by saying something really negative and tried to walk off. And I just thought it was hilarious, because I think, and this could be said for entertainment purposes or whatever, but politics, all that with the president and all that kind of stuff, that is all for entertainment. Even the sports, all that kind of stuff, and it's all planned, it's all written out. I mean, it's like the Simpsons, they have hundreds and hundreds of, things where they've admitted, or they've predicted, is what they say, huge world events that are going to happen that are probably pre-planned like 30 years in advance, you know. Um, so there's that. And yeah, and if all that stuff is blatantly in our face, I don't think anyone should participate in society anymore like they want us to. I think everybody should just stop participating in society. What I was going to say is what I saw in Iran was horrific, that they didn't have, I don't know if this is true, if their telephones were shut down, their internet shut down. What if that happens in the United States? What are people prepared for? Peaceful protests, you know, people like to speak their mind, but really, like, what are you going to do if it's time to go into action? What am I going to do? I'm not a trained combat fighter or anything like that. You know, I don't have weapons. I'm a peaceful person. I love God. And I don't want people to be in my space that don't love God and that don't, that look the other way from the light. So the light is the truth. And I think I've taken enough time on here this morning. Now I'm just rambling. That's why I said my morning rambles. I didn't really want to plan anything I had to say. But I'm going to start working on the bus, try to get those boards up, not procrastinate any longer because I feel like this is important. The time has come. I got to get the bus going and to start it up. And the longer I let it sit, the worse off it is. I already had to replace the battery once, so I've had the battery like on a turned off position. It's on a toggle, but I'm still nervous to like start it up and to drive it. I haven't driven it in a long time, and this pedal got fixed, but it's not completely fixed. It's kind of, I don't really know how well I feel about it. So anyway, there's that. But God's the guide and God's in charge, and it's always in God's timing. So that's what I know. But the more I know, the less I know. But I got Q-tips, and I'm going to stick them right in those holes and figure out where to put the thing on my board. So, all right, guys, have a blessed day, and much love. Bye.